Okay, so here's the other video I said I would make on the upgrade I'm planning on doing on the pinion here, which I already had upgraded the sprag a long time ago from the plastic went to the aluminum, which is a recommended deal. I've already installed, these are the new bearings I'm going to use. Factory comes with this setup, and it's a smaller bearing on the back, and it's got the spacer. Well, I'm going to make it so I can run this bigger bearing. One of the common problems is these bearings go bad because there's so much pressure on the pinion and the ring gear right there, and plus your wobbly drive shaft out here. Well, it knocks these bearings out, and then your seal goes out. You get water in the case. Here's another bearing, same thing. I went ahead and slid in here. Well, you can see it's flush right here. So if we take this thing out, maybe, there we go, and put this new bearing setup in here, well, you can see that it doesn't sit flat like it should. So what we're gonna have to do is do a little machine work on this. And basically it's almost right where this mark is, and that mark, how much we need to take out. But we're gonna put that in the lathe, turn it down, get this to fit, and then we'll have a much stronger setup. I got the pinion pushed in to the bearing housing. So take this thing, stick it in, and then get you some calipers and hold it tight and measure your distance, and that's how much we need to take out of this section behind this bearing. Go ahead and get your measurement for your bearing, and then now that you got both measurements, write them down so you don't forget them, but then we'll know how much we need to take out of the sides. Okay, I got this housing all set up, ready to start cutting it out. If you guys don't have a lathe to do this, take it to your machine shop. I mean, it shouldn't cost much to have this done. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this, get this done so we can get it back together. Now that I got the housing machined out to accept the wider rear pinion bearing, which I'll show you, it slides on here now instead of hitting there, it can slide in there. And take this, and now the bearing housing will slide up to the casing, and now you have a way better bearing setup on that. It should last a lot. Before I go ahead and assemble this for the final time and put the seals and whatnot in, I want to put this together and tighten my bolts to where what I'd run them at, and make sure that my pinion's moving freely like it's supposed to. If you don't machine this deep enough for that new bearing, when you put these together, it's gonna put pressure on these two bearings and cause premature wear. Also, be careful if you go too deep when you machine it, then it's gonna let them bearings move in and out, and you don't want that. So pay close attention to that, and this is how I upgraded my pinion bearings. Okay, before pulling this assembly back out, I went ahead and pushed my seal in, and I pushed the seal all the way down to where it stops. Well, when you do that, you're pushing the seal to where it hits on this bearing, which you don't want that, because when the shaft turns, it's obviously going to knock the seal out. The reason I'm doing this is because normally when the guys install these seals, they'll be flush or just barely down. But anyways, they'll be pretty flush, and that's the way this one was, and it made a set of grooves in the pinion. Well, I want to get back on a flatter surface, so I'm going to take and push this slightly forward enough to get it off of the bearing, but that should give me a nice flat surface for the new seal to ride on, which will make it last a lot longer. So now I got my seal where I want it. It's no longer pushed all the way down and hitting the bearing, but moved up, but it's riding deeper than normal, which is what I wanted to do for another reason, because that gives me a ledge around here, so I can take my old seal, clean it up. I'm going to run a real small thin bead of silicone right along this edge, very little, and then I'm going to take this old seal, I'm going to push it in there. And what happens is basically you're making a dust shield for your other seal, and that'll really help keep rocks and all that stuff out of your good seal and make this thing last a lot longer.